Have you ever wondered how a game as old as chess still has an evolving competitive scene? In other words, how do chess players from newer generations seemingly always become better than the previous GOATs? In the NBA, there are countless debates as to whether or not MJ could compete with today's top talents, but in chess, I don't think I've ever seen someone argue that Magnus would lose to any previous world champion. Or current world champion Lamau. Was 1500 years really not enough time to stagnate a game that hasn't had any gameplay changes at all? After all, it takes like 3 days for a League player to start complaining about the meta getting stale. I will not be discussing the entire 1500-year history of chess in this video, but do let me know in the comments if it would be something you'd be interested in. But with that said, let's start with chess's cumulative progress. Cumulative progress in any field is the phenomenon where previous discoveries do not need to be rediscovered, allowing for progress to be built upon already made advancements. It's how any academic field develops and why it only took you one semester to learn how to integrate this instead of thousands of years of dedication to mathematics. It's very easy to draw the parallel to chess. After all, most of the concepts in chess are studied, just like integration by parts. If you play 1e4 and study the Italian or the Spanish, you are standing on the shoulders of the many expert players who spent years developing those systems and condensed their knowledge into a few hundred pages that you did not bother to read and instead watched a video from Levi Rosman. This is fairly common knowledge already, but I will argue that we are not only benefiting from the discoveries on the game, but also the discoveries on how to learn the game. In a recent video, I argued that chess and games in general are not classes that you study to pass. Just like you wouldn't be able to master the guitar only by studying Tim Henson play.
Nah, I got this.
Merely studying Magnus's games will also not make you Magnus. No matter how much you study the game, you still have to put in time practicing the game to improve at it. In that regard, I believe chess has made massive advancements, but still has long ways to go. The way we learn the game has changed for the better. Players who are inefficient in their learning will inevitably fall behind their peers. For example, my strategy of playing the King's Indian defense incorrectly for 500 games is definitely not very efficient. I remember when I was younger going to a chess club to learn how to play, and the instructor made us learn the Italian. Then showed us a few puzzles, and gave us a few books to read. And in 2006, that was probably the way most chess clubs taught their players. But nowadays, the progress I made back then in a few months could probably be made in a few days, if not a few hours today. And that is, of course, thanks to computers. I mentioned earlier I was not going to talk about the entire 1500-year history of chess, but the impact that chess engines have had on our understanding of different and complicated positions is well beyond my understanding. Like, this is move 11 of one of the more popular lines in the Ruy Lopez, and in the Lichess database, this exact position has been reached almost 10,000 times. And I personally can't help but laugh when I imagine, like, a few decades ago, top grandmasters would sit over the board for hours analyzing this position, debating with each other which move is the better one, only for me to come over and play the top engine move, which took me 2 seconds to look up. Top players nowadays understand that you must incorporate the engine in your training. How you achieve that is different for each player. After Kasparov's famous defeat against Deep Blue, he started incorporating the engine into his preparation after seeing how much better computers are at chess. And then, in his game against Kramnik, Vladimir famously prepared an opening that was not well understood by computers yet to get an advantage over Kasparov and win. The current world champion also has a completely different approach, where he actually did not use the engine whatsoever until he was rated about 2500, because he was scared that relying on it would hinder his more fundamental understanding of chess. And Then there's me, who uses the engine only when chess.com tells me I played a brilliant move. Another somewhat under-discussed aspect of technology is how easy it is to play a game nowadays. I really take this one for granted sometimes since I was born well after the establishment of the internet in our society, but before the internet, it might have taken someone a few hours to get to their chess club, wait for an opponent to be available, only to find out that opponent is nowhere near the same rating as them. Whereas nowadays, you can achieve this entire process in a fraction of the time while in the bathroom on your phone. The same can be said about the countless tutorials available online for free, and accessing resources to improve at the game has never been easier. With improvements on both the game and its education, will chess keep evolving forever? I personally am leaning in the no camp, but probably not for the reason you think, and I do not believe we will reach that point anytime soon. Even if chess might get solved one day, I do not believe it will have as big of an impact on the competitive scene as most people think. You might know checkers or draughts as a solved game, yet the community still hosts tournament and has a checkers world champion, which is something I learned while doing research for this video. Just because a game's solution, assuming perfect play from both sides, is known, does not mean you, or any human for that matter, can play perfectly to arrive at said solution. I cannot emphasize enough the differences between competitive games and academics. Chess is a game that requires practice in addition to study. Even if more and more discoveries are made into the middle game or the end game, it will not matter if our human limitations do not allow us to practice those ideas and implement them in the games. Unless we somehow evolve to have more and more brain computing power, I do not believe we will ever come close to making the computer's brute force approach a viable strategy for humans to become the next Magnus. That will not stop some from trying. Isn't that right, Max? I still can't believe this guy got to play Magnus. Anywho's, moving on. But what about technology's role in helping us learn more easily? Won't that keep improving and enable us to learn chess more and more efficiently, allowing for newer generations to continue having an advantage? It's obviously impossible for me to predict how technology will innovate the way us humans learn the game in the future. It might be uncapped, allowing for players to improve indefinitely, which will result in chess's unlimited lifespan until we eventually solve the game. But I think it's a bit more realistic to presume it is limited. If you watched my esports athletes retiring early video, you might know I believe it becomes increasingly more and more difficult to learn as you grow older. Our ability to acquire new skill sets is limited more by our human capabilities than it is by the technology and resources available to us. This phenomenon is already a well-established concept in the chess world. You know I will start sweating if my opponent in round 1 shows up with a Capri Sun in their hand. Many grandmasters earn their titles very early in their careers, with most of them achieving their peak rating in their 30s. Side note, I do not believe it means you're unable to improve past 30. It's just a pattern a Redditor has noticed, which I thought to be interesting. So go Levi, I'm rooting for you. Unless there comes a way for someone to never decrease their brain plasticity, we will forever be bottlenecked by our biology. So in conclusion, yes, I believe there will be a time where newer generations will not have an advantage over previous ones, but I do not think it will be anytime soon. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And I also have some news regarding this channel. I might be posting a bit more chess content in the near future, since I want to try out what my viewers want, and I feel like a lot of you guys want more chess videos. And coincidentally, I am right now in a pretty massive chess phase where I'm playing for multiple hours a day. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'm going to be making a community post very soon. So stay tuned, and once again, thank you for your support.